The royal family has bid a solemn farewell to Catherine, Duchess of Kent, whose passing at the age of 92 was marked with a funeral rich in symbolism, steeped in history, and overflowing with emotion. The Requiem Mass held at Westminster Cathedral was both deeply traditional and profoundly personal, honouring a woman whose quiet influence stretched far beyond her royal title. What captured the world's attention most was not the grandeur of the service, but the raw emotion of Princess Catherine, the Princess of Wales. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Catherine was seen lowering her head, dabbing her eyes as the choir sang one of the Duchess's favourite hymns. Her husband, Prince William, gently placed a reassuring hand on her back, a silent gesture of unity and comfort that spoke volumes about both their relationship and the weight of the loss. This display of emotion stood in contrast to the often reserved demeanour of the royal family at such events. It was a reminder that behind the formality and centuries of protocol lies a family in mourning, united in grief for a woman who left a deep impression on all who knew her. The funeral carried immense historical importance. For the first time in modern history, a reigning monarch, King Charles III, attended a Catholic Requiem Mass on British soil for a senior member of the royal family. The Duchess of Kent, who converted to Catholicism in 1994, had long expressed her wish for her funeral to be held at Westminster Cathedral rather than Westminster Abbey. This marked the first time since the cathedral's consecration in 1903 that it hosted the funeral of a royal. The King's presence signalled both personal respect and a quiet acknowledgement of the evolving relationship between the monarchy and matters of faith. His attendance was not only a tribute to his cousin's wife, but also a symbolic gesture that many believe reflects a new era of religious inclusivity within the royal household. The service included tributes from family members, as well as representatives of her many charities and military affiliations. Hymns were carefully chosen to reflect her personal favourites and her lifelong love of music. These musical selections stirred visible emotions among the congregation, particularly Princess Catherine, who has long admired the Duchess's dedication to education and the arts. Her coffin was later taken to the Royal Burial Ground at Frogmore in Windsor, where she now rests alongside other members of the royal family. The setting, serene and historic, provides a fitting resting place for a woman who bridged tradition with service and humility. The funeral was filled with details that revealed both personal and historical meaning. Princess Catherine's attire, a black coat dress paired with pearls once worn by the late Queen Elizabeth II, symbolised continuity, tradition, and mourning. Pearls, long associated with grief in royal costume, carried a poignant reminder of loss while also honouring the past. Other members of the royal family, including Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, made rare public appearances, reflecting the importance of the occasion. Observers noted the complex dynamics among the royals, with some interactions brief and restrained, others warm and familial. Even small gestures drew attention. Catherine's curtsy to King Charles outside the cathedral, followed by kisses on each cheek, reflected both respect for the monarch and closeness within the family. Catherine's legacy is defined not by grandeur, but by humility. She broke barriers quietly. Through her conversion to Catholicism, her decision to work as a teacher in anonymity, and her focus on causes that brought real benefit rather than media attention. Her life story reminds us that influence does not always come through the spotlight, but through service carried out with dignity, kindness, and conviction. She leaves behind not just memories of public appearances, but also a model of what it means to serve with authenticity. For many, she was a reminder that royalty is not only about ceremony, but also about humanity. Catherine, Duchess of Kent, was admired not only as the wife of Prince Edward, Duke of Kent, but also for her humility and devotion to charitable causes. She was particularly passionate about music education, quietly working as a teacher for more than a decade, without drawing attention to her royal title. Her decision to step back from public duties in 2002 and live a more private life highlighted her preference for meaningful service over the spotlight. Her connection with the Prince and Princess of Wales was strengthened through their shared love of Wimbledon. For years, the Duchess was a beloved figure at the championships, known for her warmth and compassion, often comforting defeated players with kind words or even a hug. These small gestures left a lasting impression, and her legacy at Wimbledon is now carried forward by Princess Catherine, who has taken on many of the ceremonial roles once held by the Duke of Kent. The Duchess also witnessed some of the most significant milestones in William and Catherine's lives, attending their wedding in 2011 and remaining a quiet but constant presence within the royal fold. The Duchess of Kent's funeral will likely be remembered as a milestone in royal history. Her conversion to Catholicism in 1994 was groundbreaking, marking the first such move by a senior royal since the 17th century. At the time, it was considered daring, even controversial, given the monarchy's historic ties to the Church of England. Yet Catherine made the decision quietly and without spectacle, driven by personal conviction rather than public approval. Now, 3 decades later, her Requiem Mass has set a precedent. The monarch's attendance underscored that private faith is being acknowledged with respect, rather than resisted. For future generations, her funeral may be seen as the moment when religious inclusivity gained a stronger foothold within the royal institution. The funeral also brought together members of the royal family whose relationships have often been scrutinised. Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson's attendance was a reminder that, despite personal controversies, family bonds can still draw people together. Their quiet presence was interpreted by many as a gesture of respect and reconciliation. The Duke of Kent, frail but resolute, stood as a symbol of endurance and dignity. His grief, though less visibly expressed, was deeply felt, as he bid farewell to his wife of more than 6 decades. Princess Anne, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, and others were also in attendance, representing both the core and extended branches of the family. Each presence underscored Catherine's quiet influence and the respect she commanded. Perhaps the most talked about image from the funeral was that of Catherine's tears. For years, she has been praised for her composure and grace, often embodying the stoicism associated with royalty. But in that moment of vulnerability, she allowed the world to see her as a wife, a daughter-in-law, and a woman touched by grief. Such moments carry enormous resonance. They remind the public that the royals are not distant figures carved from tradition, but human beings who feel, who mourn, who are moved by loss just as any family would be. In a time when the monarchy seeks to remain relevant, such authenticity may prove invaluable. The Queen's absence due to illness inevitably drew attention. Some viewed it as unfortunate timing, while others emphasized that it highlighted the human limitations of duty. At a time when both the King and Queen are navigating health challenges, it underscored the pressures placed on senior royals and the need to balance public expectation with personal well-being.